My Denver flight got canceled, so I rented a car and drove 6 hours through the desert night to surprise my wife. Instead, I walked into a scene that looked like a crime show, starring my own son. I'm James Patterson, 65. Spent almost 4 decades building commercial properties and rental blocks across Arizona. I know how to read land, contracts, and people, but nothing prepared me for the sight I saw when I pulled into my own driveway that night. My wife, Eleanor, was on the back patio, on her hands and knees, dragging herself across the tiles toward the outdoor faucet. Her walker was tipped on its side like someone had kicked it out from under her. Inside the living room, I could hear my son, Michael, laughing. Big, relaxed. I'm getting away with something laughter. Glasses clinked. Music played. He was toasting with someone. For a second, my brain just glitched. This was the house we'd built together, paid off together, and my wife was crawling on the ground like a stranger in her own home. I didn't step in yet. Instead, I watched. Eleanor reached the faucet, turned the handle, and nothing came out. No pressure, no trickle. Nothing. She looked back over her shoulder toward the house, eyes shiny with confusion and shame. That's when she saw me. "James," she whispered. You're home." Yeah, I was home, and apparently, I was late. Before I tell you how my son and his wife tried to turn my living room into a stage for elder abuse, just to cash out our estate. Drop your age and country in the comments. I'm 65, and I had to learn the hard way that sometimes your biggest threat, I sent to a stranger. It's your own kid with a plan. If that already sounds messy, hit like and subscribe so you down. Team is the kind of stories that make you want to double-check your parents' paperwork. Alright, back up a bit. 6 weeks earlier, Eleanor had just had hip replacement surgery. 38 years of climbing construction sites and running properties with me finally caught up with her bones. We paid $12,000 out of pocket for her titanium joint. Money wasn't the issue. Recovery was, doctor said, walker for at least 3 months. No driving, no stairs. Alone, plenty of water and rest. Michael and his wife, Jessica, jumped in like heroes. Michael, our golden boy, smart, charismatic, marketing director with a nice LinkedIn profile. Jessica, a nurse practitioner, all soft voice, and we just want what's best. Dad, let us move in for a few weeks, they insisted. You keep working. We'll handle moms, meds, meals, everything. On paper, it sounded perfect. In reality, a few things started to feel off. Jessica kept leaving pamphlets around the house. Top 10 signs your parent can't live alone. Why big homes are dangerous for seniors. Brochures for Sunset Manor Senior Living, where independence meets safety. She'd start every guilt trip the same way. I see this all the time with my patients. Falls in the home are no joke. Big houses become prisons. She talked like we were already half gone. Michael joined in with his own brand of concern. Dad, this place is way too much for you to. What happens when you can't do stairs? What if Mom falls when you're on a job site? Little comments, little seeds. Nothing I could call them out on. Yet, the flight that saved us the Denver trip was business. Water rights litigation for one of my commercial properties near the Colorado River. Big case. 7-figure future. I was supposed to fly out Friday morning, stay through the weekend, maybe sneak in a round of golf, but the weather had other plans. Your flight to Denver has been canceled due to storms, the gate agent said. They offered to rebook me Sunday. I almost took it. Then I remembered Eleanor's voice on the phone earlier that week. A little slower, a little foggier. Michael says I keep mixing up my pills. Jim, maybe I am getting old. Something about that hit wrong. I walked to the rental car counter instead. Ford Explorer. One way. Tonight, I told the clerk. They handed me the keys like it was nothing. They had no idea the decision me'd have saved my wife's life, our house, and every dollar we Daber earned. Drive. 6 hours of desert highway at night gives you too much time to think. I called the house around 9 p.m. from Flagstaff. No answer. Let it ring 12 times. Straight to voicemail. Not that word. Eleanor turned her ringer off sometimes when the pain meds kicked in. Still, the little itch at the back of my neck didn't go away. By the time I rolled onto our street after midnight, the neighborhood was quiet. Every porch light off, except ours. I hit the garage opener. Door lifted. Nothing unusual. Tools on the wall. Eleanor's gardening stuff in the corner. Michael's car in the driveway. Walked through the mudroom, keys in my hand, ready to drop my bag and surprise everyone. Instead, I heard that laugh. Michael's laugh. Loud. Relaxed. Not a we're taking care of mom laugh. We're celebrating laugh. And outside, my wife crawling for water that didn't exist. Something snapped. The water meter. I helped Eleanor inside first. Set her in her favorite armchair, checked her hip, made sure she hadn't re-injured anything. She kept apologizing. I'm just clumsy, James. Michael says I'm slipping. I didn't want to bother anyone. I tucked a blanket around her. Just sit tight, I said. I'll be right back. I walked out to the side yard where the water meter sits. If you've built as many properties as I have, you know utilities like most people know TV channels. The little metal lid was slightly crooked. Not how I'd left it. I popped it open with my boot. Inside, the main valve was halfway closed. Not worn. Not broken. Turned. On purpose. That's when my brain clicked all the way into work mode. Less water pressure inside the house. Toilets refilling slow. Sinks dribbling. Shower weak. Perfect conditions to film an elderly woman struggling. Right? Eleanor reaching. Confused. Frustrated. A nurse daughter-in-law in the background, talking about decline. The son documenting her for her own protection. Yeah. No. That math wasn't mathing. Confrontation. Almost, I walked back into the house. Michael was at the kitchen island with a glass of red wine, talking to Jessica. She had her phone out, screen face down. They both froze when they saw me. Dad, Michael blinked. You weren't supposed to be back till Monday. Yeah, I said, dropping my keys on the counter. Denver changed its mind. Jessica forced a smile. We were just talking about your mom's progress. She's having a few episodes. We're going to call you tomorrow. Unhung, I said. Funny thing, the water pressure out back dropped real low tonight. Any idea why the main valve is half? Michael's eyes flicked toward Jessica for half a second. Tiny move. But I caught it. Jessica shook her head too fast. Must be a utility issue. Happens all the time. No, it doesn't. I wanted to blow up right there. Wanted to slam my fist on the counter and kick them both out. But something my lawyer once told me popped into my head. Anger makes noise. Evidence makes consequences. So I smiled instead. Maybe you're right, I said. We'll have a professional look at it Monday. Jessica relaxed. Michael took another sip of wine. They thought I bought it. Good. Let 'em. Because from that moment, I wasn't just a dad anymore. I was an investigator, and my own house was the crime scene. I didn't sleep that night. Eleanor finally drifted off around 3 a.m., clutching my hand like a kid afraid of the dark. Michael and Jessica stayed in the guest room. Doors closed, lights off, but their entire little project was already unraveling in my head. Step 1. Water. Step 2. Proof. Not mine. Theirs. They thought they were building a case against Eleanor's independence. They were actually building a case against themselves. All I had to do was find it. The phone, the videos, the lie the next morning. I made coffee like nothing had happened. Jessica came into the kitchen in scrubs, hair up, fake concern activated. Rough night for your mom, she sighed. We really think it's time to consider. Yeah, no, I cut in. 1 second, Jessica. You dropped this. I slid her phone across the counter. I'd found it on the console table earlier. Screen lit up with Face ID. She looked down on reflex. The moment her face unlocked it, I tapped the side button and pulled it back. Actually, I said calmly, I need to check something first. Her eyes went wide. James, that's private. So is my wife's brain, I said, and someone's been playing games with it. I opened the Photos app. My stomach dropped. Dozens of short clips, all taken in the last 3 weeks. Elena struggling to stand from the couch, breathing hard. Eleanor fumbling with pill bottles, hands shaking. Eleanor nodding off at the kitchen table, a plate of barely touched food in front of her. In each video, Eleanor looked weaker, more confused. And in each one, the angles were perfect. Close enough to show her struggle, far enough to hide context. No shot of the water meter. No shot of anyone forgetting to refill her glass. No audio of someone saying, "No, Mom, don't get up. I'll help you." Then conveniently not helping. Just a highlight reel of decline. The kicker? The timestamps were all during my big meetings and site visits. Always when I was provably not home. I scrolled further and found screenshots of bank statements, notes, and links. At the bottom of her purse later, I'd find something worse. A card for an elder law attorney. On the back, in someone's handwriting, competency evaluation, 72 hours notice, guardianship option. Yeah, they weren't being careful. They were staging a legal ambush. De real motive. I went into Michael's old bedroom while they were out running errands in the closet. Behind a stack of old shoeboxes, I found a banker's box labeled tax. It wasn't taxes, it was debt. Printouts of online gambling accounts, transactions to offshore betting sites, loan agreements with numbers that made my head spin. $380,000 in gambling losses, another $200,000 owed to private lenders. The kind of lenders whose websites don't have customer service chats, but their guys will happily knock on your door. Suddenly, the puzzle fit. Michael wasn't just being greedy, he was desperate. And he needed a fast, legal way to get control of our house, our rental units, our investment accounts. Eleanor's decline wasn't an accident. It was a business plan. I called my attorney, Catherine Long. Smart, mid-40s. The kind of woman who reads contracts for fun and looks bored until something illegal walks into the room. I sent her photos of the half-closed water valve Jessica staged videos, the debt paperwork, the elder law business card. She called me back in under 10 minutes. "James, what your son is doing has a name," she said. "It's called elder financial abuse, and he's almost done setting you up." "Can we stop it?" I asked. "Oh, we're not just going to stop it," she said. "We're going to flip it." We met that afternoon in her office. Catherine had already pulled up the elder law firm's website. All sunshine language. compassionate transitions, protecting vulnerable seniors, guardianship when families must step in, average cases, estates between 1 and 5 million, their fee 15% of whatever they help manage. People like this love families like yours, Catherine said. High value, one vulnerable spouse, one panicked adult child, one distracted business owner. Distracted, I repeated. Yeah, that part's on me. We'll process the guilt later, she said. Right now, we build a wall. Step 1. Move our assets into a revocable living trust under my control, with explicit language about guardianship. Step 2. Document everything. Step 3. Let Michael keep walking into his own trap while we call in backup. Project Mirror. We spent the next 3 days preparing what Catherine called Project Mirror. We don't escalate, she said. We reflect. You show the court exactly what's happening by turning on all the lights at once. ICE filed a report with Adult Protective Services about suspected manipulation. Called our utility company and HOA to document the water tampering and any signs of neglect around the house. Installed hidden cameras that covered the hall, kitchen, back patio, and driveway. Audio and time-stamped. We scheduled an official welfare check, a surprise visit from utility investigators, and cherry on top, the voluntary competency exam Michael's lawyer wanted. All in the same 72-hour window. Catherine's exact words. If your son wants a performance for the court, we'll give him one. Only tease time, the cameras belong to us. Saturday morning, once altum. Michael and Jessica were all smiles, dressed nice, helping Eleanor into a cardigan. Big day, Mom, Michael said. We're going to tour Sunset Manor. Just to look, okay? Eleanor looked nervous but hopeful. James, are you coming? She asked. Got a meeting, I lied. You go ahead. We'll talk when you get back. They thought they were taking her to check out her future home. What they didn't know, I'd already scheduled a different kind of visit. Adult Protective Services arrives at exactly 11:05 a.m. A white SUV with state plates pulled up to the curb. Adult Protective Services. 2 investigators got out. One of them, Maria Gonzalez, a veteran who'd seen every kind of elder abuse in the book. Michael's smile faltered. Can I help you? He asked. Maria flashed her badge. We received a report about possible manipulation and neglect involving Mrs. Eleanor Pedersen, she said. We're here to perform a welfare check. Eleanor looked at me, confused. A welfare check. James, what's it's okay, I said. Answered their questions honestly. They walked her through the house, asked about water, meds, falls, and pressure from family to move. Eleanor's answers were heartbreaking. Michael says, I'm becoming a burden. Says you work too hard taking care of me. Jessica keeps telling me big houses aren't safe for people my age. I don't want to fight them. I just don't want to disappear. Maria took notes, tested the faucets, checked the meter outside, and quietly snapped pictures of a half-closed valve and Jessica's accidental water limitations. Monday, everything hit at once. Utility investigators documented the tampering. The HOA confirmed staged neglect photos Michael had submitted as proof that we were not keeping up with the property. And Detective Chun from the Financial Crimes Unit knocked on my door with a folder under her arm. By the time Michael pulled into the driveway that afternoon, 2 patrol cars were already parked at the curb. Jessica stepped out of the passenger seat, saw the officers, and went ghost white. Michael Patterson. Detective Chun called. Yeah, he said, trying to laugh it off. What's going on? You're under arrest for attempted elder financial exploitation, utility tampering. and conspiracy to commit guardianship fraud. Jessica started crying. "This is insane," Michael snapped. "I was trying to help them. My mom's confused all the time. Ask anyone." Chun looked right at him. "We did," she said. "We asked your father and your mother and the state of Arizona and your gambling records." I stepped forward. "Michael," I said quietly, "I know about the debt, about Carlos, about the offshore accounts." His face crumpled. "What was the plan, son?" I asked. "Get guardianship, dump your mother in a facility, sell our house, pay off the guys who've been calling." He didn't answer. But he didn't have to. The guilt no one talks about. You'd think I felt pure satisfaction watching him get cuffed. I didn't. I felt sick. Every memory hit at once. Teaching him how to ride a bike in this same driveway. Showing him how to sign his name on his first bank account. Watching him swing a tiny plastic bat in the backyard. Somewhere between those moments and that police car door slamming, something cracked. Part of that was on him. Part of it was on me. Eleanor could see it in my face later that night. "You're already feeling sorry for him," she said. "He's still our son," I answered. She nodded, "And I'm still the woman he dragged through hell to save himself." That shut me up. Creditor troubled, the legal side moved fast. Michael and Jessica were charged, arraigned, and bailed out. Jessica's license was suspended. Michael lost his job. Then came the people the court doesn't control. 2 men in nice suits showed up at our door a week later. No company name. No clear introduction. They asked for Michael. I told them he didn't live there anymore. They left a card with just a phone number. Detective Chun confirmed my suspicion. "Those aren't mortgage brokers," she said. "They're the people he borrowed from when the casinos stopped accepting his bets." We hired private security. For 3 months, 2 ex-cops rotated 12-hour shifts outside our house. $300 a day in security just to feel safe inside our own walls. Elena started checking faucets in the middle of the night, just to make sure the water pressure was normal. Healing wasn't just physical. It was mental. Rehab, not rescue, the DA. Offered Michael a plea deal if he went into an intensive gambling addiction program. It took Italiano. Family therapy was part of the package. The first time they sat us in the same room, Michael looked like a ghost of himself, thinner, pale, no fake charm left. He took a deep breath. "I tortured Mom to steal your money," he said, voice shaking. "I told myself I was saving us all, while I was really just saving myself." He laid it out. The debt, the panic, the way Jessica and the lawyer framed guardianship like being responsible. None of it erased what he did, but it explained how he'd been able to look at his own mother crawling on the floor and still sleep at night. Addiction isn't an excuse, but it is a lens. "Conditions, not forgiveness, our lawyer." Catherine drew up a document thicker than some of my building contracts. If Michael wanted any kind of relationship going forward, these were the non-negotiables. Ongoing therapy and addiction treatment, steady legal employment, quarterly financial statements reviewed by our attorney, supervised contact-only scheduled calls, public meetings, no drop-ins, restitution payments for legal fees and damages. Even if it took him 20 years, 0 inheritance rights. No access to our estate, now or later. These terms are designed to test whether you can be in their life without being in their wallet, Catherine told him. He read every page. Then, signed. No tantrum. No bargaining. Just a quiet, "I understand." 3 years later, Michael works as a maintenance supervisor at a senior living community in Phoenix. Yeah, I know. The irony writes itself. The same kid who once tried to force us into a facility now spends his days fixing handrails and checking water pressure so other seniors daren't get hurt. He's been promoted twice. Residents love him because he treats them like people, not problems. Eleanor and we volunteer in the garden there sometimes. We're not back to normal. That version of our family is gone, but we've built something new. Careful, honest. Always one step away from this. Is over if he ever crosses a line again. He still sends his $50 restitution payment every month. It's not about the money. It's about the rhythm. I did this. I'm fixing what I can. I'm not entitled anymore. 3 years of peace can trick you into believing the storm's over. It isn't. It's just waiting for better timing. I was pruning roses when the doorbell rang, middle of a bright Tuesday morning. Quiet street. Sprinklers running. Eleanor looked up from her tablet. Expecting anyone? I shook my head. 3 seconds later, the past walked up my driveway wearing a suit and sunglasses. Carlos, the man my son once owed a small fortune. The debt that didn't die, he smiled like we were old golf buddies. Mr. Patterson. Don't worry. Not here for trouble. Just business. He handed me a thin envelope. Inside, an insurance policy. Michael's life insurance policy. Carlos had somehow been listed as the beneficiary in escrow, something Michael set up during his debt spiral. He's paid most of it back, Carlos said, but there's still interest paperwork that needs adjusting, you being trustee and all. I didn't answer. I just stared at the line that said $180,000 outstanding. That night, I called Michael. You didn't tell me Carlos still had a claim on your name. He went silent. Dad, I swear I've been sending payments. He's lying. I believed him mostly. Addicts lie. Recovering addicts overshare. Michael sounded terrified, not manipulative. I'll handle it, he said. Don't open anything else he sends. Too late, I already had. Next morning, Catherine Long, my lawyer, came over with that same folder. James, this isn't about debt, she said. It's leverage. She flipped to the last page, a quiet little clause in the trust documents I'd signed years earlier. If either beneficiary is deemed financially unstable, management of assets may temporarily transfer to the secondary trustee. Guess who filed to become that secondary trustee? Jessica. Yeah, the ex-daughter-in-law. With a suspended license and a clean new name. She'd married again to Carlos's brother. We met in Catherine's office a week later. Jessica showed up polished, calm, pretending she was there to clear confusion. Michael's past debts make him unreliable, she said smoothly. The family properties need consistent oversight. I'm just trying to protect everyone. I leaned back. You mean protect yourself? You marry into a loan shark family and now you want legal keys to my assets. Say, Esmile, you don't have proof. James. Catherine slid a USB drive across the table. Inside were text messages Jessica had sent to Carlos, bragging about getting the old man to sign a few amendments. The look on her face when she realized we had them. Worth every sleepless night from 3 years ago. Catherine folded her hands. You're done. File one more document under my client's name, and we go straight to federal fraud. Jessica left without another word. Aftermath. Father and son that night. Michael came by after his shift. No drama. No defensiveness. He just said, I can't fix what I did, Dad, but I can make sure no one else ruins what's left. He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside, a transfer of his restitution account into my name. It's not much, he said, but if anything happens, it keeps Mom covered. We sat on the porch in silence for a while. No words left to fix the past. Just two men watching a desert sunset, letting the quiet feel safe again. People think forgiveness means pretending it never happened. It doesn't they? It means you stop waiting for the apology to sound perfect. You stop letting the wound own your schedule, and you start living like your peace is worth protecting. Eleanor calls it moving forward. I call it finally coming home. You ever think the story's done? And then life slides one last test across the table? That was me. 2 years after Jessica's stunt with Carlos blew up. Eleanor's walking again. Michael's sober. The house finally feels like a home instead of a courtroom. And me? I'd started believing we'd earned our peace, until one morning, a letter showed up. Hand-delivered. No return address. Just 3 words written across the front. For your wife. Before I tell you how my wife nearly lost everything again. Not to family this time, but to the system that let it happen before. Ask yourself this. What would you do if your past mistakes showed up wearing a badge, asking for one more signature? Because that's exactly what happened next. 3 days after the letter, 2 county officials came by the house, not cops. Worse. Legal aid officers from the Elder Assistance Review Board. Basically government-funded lawyers who check in on seniors with existing legal files. One smiled too wide, the other didn't smile at all. Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, we're here to confirm the transfer request you filed, the woman said. Eleanor frowned. Transfer? Of what? The guy flipped a page in his binder. Power of attorney. It lists Michael Patterson as secondary agent. My blood ran cold. We'd revoked every old version of that document years ago. That's impossible, I said. That authority was cancelled. Our lawyer filed new ones in 2028. He adjusted his glasses, unbothered. It was reinstated last month, with notarization. My wife looked at me, her hand trembling just slightly. James, did you? No, I said. I didn't sign a damn thing. A fake signature, we drove straight to Catherine Long's office. She took one look at the paperwork and sighed like she'd seen this movie before. Same notary as last time, she said. And the date stamp. Faked. She spread the papers out across her desk. Every line looked eerily familiar. Same legal phrasing. Same margins. Same bold section headers. Only tease time. My signature was there. Perfectly forged. Whoever did this, Catherine said, had access to your old documents and a scan of your ID. Eleanor whispered, That means it's someone we know. The trail led back to an old connection, someone I had thought about since before Michael S. arrest. Frank Dunn, my former accountant. He'd handled our taxes for years before retiring. The man had our trust, our records, and, apparently, copies of everything we ever signed. Turns out, he'd gone bankrupt after a bad crypto investment. And Jessica's new husband, Carlos's brother, had quietly bailed him out. Catherine connected the dots faster than I could blink. They're using him to refile old financial power of attorney forms, disguised as corrected trust records, she said. And if this one gets processed, Eleanor loses half her rights over joint assets. I clenched my jaw. Then we ended. This time, completely. The setup again. Catherine laid out the plan. File a motion to freeze any pending asset transfers. Request an emergency verification hearing. Set a trap for whoever tried to slip the documents through the county clerk's office. We were ready to play defense, but this time, I wanted to strike first. So I called someone I never thought I'd need again. Detective A. Chun, the same one who'd arrested Michael years back. She remembered. I was hoping you'd never need me again, she said. But if they're reusing old trust data, this isn't just fraud. It's identity theft on a federal level. We met the next morning at her office downtown. She flipped through the evidence, nodding slowly. "We'll set a watch at the filing department," she said. "Whoever tries to submit the next fake will walk straight into an arrest." 3 days later, Eleanor and I sat in the county office, pretending to sign updated title paperwork. We were decos. Hidden cameras covered the counters. Detective Chun waited outside with 2 plainclothes officers. We'd barely been there 10 minutes when someone walked in, holding a brown folder in a confidence that didn't belong. Frank Dunn. He didn't even hesitate, went straight to the clerk and said, "Submitting an amendment to the Patterson Trust, urgent court filing." The clerk stalled, pretending to process the paperwork while signaling security. Within a minute, Chun was through the door. "Frank Dunn," she said. He froze mid. "You're under arrest for falsification of federal financial documents, identity fraud, and conspiracy to commit elder exploitation." He didn't even try to deny it. He just looked at me, eyes wet. "They said it was just paperwork," he mumbled. "They said you'd never know." Jessica and Carlos's brother fled the state. The DA's office picked up the case. Apparently, they'd been targeting multiple families with similar fake amendments. Frank took a plea deal in exchange for exposing their network. The arrests made local news for a week. Financial crime ring targeted seniors using family ties. But what stuck with me wasn't the victory. It was what Frank said in court before sentencing. "I wasn't trying to ruin them. I was just trying to fix my own mess. One mistake, then another. Then you wake up and you're someone else." It echoed in my head for weeks, because it sounded exactly like something my son could have said years ago. Michael's reckoning. When Michael found out what happened, he showed up on our porch, pale and shaking. "Dad, I didn't know. I swear." "I believe you," I said, "but belief isn't enough anymore." He nodded it. Then he did something I didn't expect. He handed me his resignation. "I quit the senior home," he said. "I want to go back to school. Social work, maybe help people like us." I raised an eyebrow. "You think 1 degree fixes all this?" "No," he said quietly. "But it's a start. And for the first time in years, I didn't see the liar, the gambler, or the manipulator. I saw the kid I used to teach how to swing a bat, nervous, trying, human again." Eleanor's words. That night, Eleanor sat by the window, watching the light fade over the desert. "Do you ever get tired?" she asked. "Every damn day," I said. She smiled. "You still check the water pressure every morning?" "Old habits." She looked at me, eyes soft. "You know what Nana used to say?" I chuckled. "Paper outlives promises." "No," she said, "but people can change if you stop watching for proof and start watching for effort." I didn't say anything after that, just sat there, holding her hand, feeling the weight of everything we'd survived. Months later, we visited Michael at his community college orientation. He looked nervous but proud, holding his registration folder. "Guess I'm starting late," he joked. "Late's still better than never," I said. He smiled. "You and Mom gonna be okay?" Eleanor leaned on her cane and winked. "We survived you, didn't we?" He laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. And as we drove home, Eleanor said something I'll never forget. "You think karma's done with us now?" I looked out at the road ahead. "Karma's never done," I said. "It just takes coffee breaks." If you've made it this far, ask yourself this. Would you rebuild a bridge with the same hands that once burned it? Because sometimes the real revenge isn't getting even it's living long enough to watch them become better people than they were when they broke you. If this story hit home, like, comment, and subscribe to Payback Files Stories. where we turn heartbreak into strength, betrayal into lesson, and endings into fresh starts. Stay sharp, stay kind, and never sign anything you didn't see get printed.